Hello everyone, welcome live to 3Y TV tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League Thornton Graphix Grand National Series here from the beautiful Texas Motor Speedway. It is no limits here tonight at this famed 1.5 mile racetrack. I'm Peter Shorten. Joining me in the booth here tonight for the event is Bob Giaquinto. And Bob, again in the Lone Star State this week. Last week it was Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, and everyone watching got to see the onboard camera. But this week, we're back up here in the booth. Both of us up in the booth this week here at Texas Motor Speedway. Going to be a lot of fun here tonight. 1.5 miles, and this racetrack recently reconfigured.
Yeah, recently reconfigured, making turns 1 and 2 much, much wider in hopes to bring a little bit more racing action through turns 1 and 2. Reprofiled the corner as well, making, I believe, adding a little bit more banking in 1 and 2 as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how these Xfinity Series cars drive in the different configuration here between turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be really interesting tonight to see all these drivers work their way around this racetrack, and hopefully we don't see any major hiccups amongst these drivers here tonight as you see this beautiful, beautiful racetrack here. Opened in the mid to late 90s and put on some spectacular races. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the racetrack and its reconfiguring. But I know some people are. Some people enjoy it. And it definitely adds to what this racetrack has because now turn number 1 and 2 just so wide there. And then turn number 3 and 4 they have a little bit more banking. They're a little bit narrower and definitely makes this racetrack unique to what we typically see here on the schedule here in Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. But the checkered flag has come out here as you see the number 78 of Spencer Tart go around right up at the top of the screen. And we are going to go over into the pole shootout here tonight. And, you know, one thing about this new racetrack, Bob, or this new configuration, it can be fairly difficult to make a pass here. So that's something we will have to keep our eyes on here tonight around this 150-mile race.
Yeah, Peter, and this track, there are times, especially in the corners, where it almost drives like a bit of a short track, where you're going to have to use that chrome horn to maybe try to move a guy out of the preferred line just to get underneath of them. So it's going to be interesting as this race goes on to take a look and see, you know, exactly how racy things can get. Because Peter, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where you know, this may not be my favorite racetrack out there that NASCAR goes to and the Total Nonstop Racing League goes to, but, you know, some drivers absolutely love it, and I feel like those drivers that love it are really going to start rising to the top as this race goes on.
Yeah, there was last week's race winner Kevin McCann trying to do the Texas two-step here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, just north of Fort Worth. In fact, very close to the Fort Worth Alliance Airport, technically in Justin, Texas, as Kevin McCann sliding his way around the racetrack in his Chevy Camaro. Not the only driver that we've seen slide out here. We also saw Bill Edwards with a big slide. There is the number 50 machine. There's Ben Izenga, the number 17, jumping up to the top of the board. And, of course, tonight's race is the Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck Series 150 presented by S2R. So we'll be keeping our eyes on the S2R machines here tonight. Ben Izenga being one of those. Kevin McCann in the number 42, last week's race winner at Circuit of the Americas. Top of the board here currently in the pole shootout. We've had 13 drivers take time. We have not seen, however, the fastest driver in the practice session yet take a time. That would be the SimShots number 8 of Andrew Himmelman, working his way right now through turn number 1 and 2 in that Chevy Camaro. Now on to the backstretch, and definitely one driver we'll be keeping our eyes on here tonight, as I know we will have Andrew Himmelman fans in the chat. In fact, Tana Himmelman in the chat here right now, rooting on Andrew as he works his way out of turn number 4. Let's see what kind of a lap he can do across the start-finish line, and looks like he will put himself into the 10th position, so definitely much lower on the scoring pile than we expected out of Andrew Himmelman here in qualifying.
Yeah, a little surprising, especially with the lap speeds that he was putting up in practice. had a couple of really, really good runs, and let's see how this lap is going to be comparatively as he makes a turn coming out of turn number 4, and across the line, looks like he is going to jump up a couple of positions, I believe. Yep, right there to P2 with a 29.912.
Yeah, so big pickup on lap number 2. I guess lap number 2 is the money lap. Here is John Borst, the number 0 Toyota Supra, working his way on to the backstretch right now. He is on his second qualifying lap as we have 1 minute 43 seconds left here. Philip Scott, the number 99, right there, just jumped himself up to 12th on the board. Back to John Borst, working his way out of turn number 4. He will come to the line, and where will the number 0 jump up to? Will he improve? He does improve. He jumps up to 12th himself, so just leapfrogs Philip Scott. Here's Brady Todd, the number 15. He's down in the 15th position right now. In fact, as I say, that gets dethroned. Big wiggle out of turn number 4. Todd to the line. Will he pick up on lap number 2? He will not, so he's down in 18th. Anthony DeBarro, 27 machine, just jumped up to second on the board. Right behind Kevin McCann, Jimmy McKee right here in the number 10. He is working his way through turn number 3 and 4 right down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. Of course, Jimmy McKee, one of those drivers that we see on Wednesday nights here on the channel, at least used to see here on Wednesday nights, to the start-finish line on lap number 2. That will put him 11th on the starting grid. Josh Gerlach just picked it up on lap number 2. He just went up to what was the 12th position, but he just got dethroned from that spot by Daniel Buttafuoco and Nick Cohan. They are 7th and 8th positions respectively, although Cohan here on his second lap, his first lap at 30.06, we've seen up to about 0.2 of a second pickup on the second lap here. If he can do that, he might be able to put it on the pole. Just 12 seconds left. Will Nick Cohan put the number 21 on the pole? Just waiting to see. P4 for Nick Cohan. Not a big enough pickup, about 0.1 of a second behind Kevin McCann, but he'll be rolling off on row number 2, and that is going to do it here for our qualifying session. And I'll tell you what, that was quite a lot of fun there, Bob, and hopefully you can see a great race here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup. Speaking of good results and all that good stuff here, Bob, why didn't you take it away here in the Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck Series 150 presented by S2R?
Well, our pole sitter for tonight's race is last week's, or 2 weeks ago, last week's winner, Kevin McCann on pole. Outside of him is the 27 machine of Anthony DeBarro. Row number 2, we have Andrew Himmelman and Nick Cohan, Brian McCann and Ben Izingo, one of your Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash drivers tonight, starting in P6. In 7th, we've got the 28 machine of Tim Johnston, Daniel Buttafuoco in 8th. John Canizaro and JT Poole will round out your top 10. Yeah, and down there in the 11th, Tristan Maher and Spencer Tart on row number 6. Then on row number 7, we got Jimmy McKee and Josh Gerlach, Bill Edwards, Jason Freeman, row number 8, John Borst, Philip Scott, row number 9, Nick Chambrone, and Brady Todd, rounding out your top 20, Bob. In 21st, Mike Floppy Tellier in the number 97 machine, and on his outside, Kevin Stone. Colin Olery and Kyle Lewis will bring us into row number 12. Now in row number 13, starting 25th, is Kyle Givishausen, Briar Fritz on his outside. Robert Kenny and Lupe Gonzalez round out in 27th and 28th, and Jason Gracias and Stephen Dosiak Jr. round out the top 30. Yeah, 31st position right there. Vincent Valvano, Justin White, 32nd. Garrett Gleason, Matthew Rodriguez, 33rd and 34th. Todd Kirkwood, Stephen Kegman will be rolling off from row number 18 here tonight. And just to take you through the rest of your field, Austin Grover and Jason Shue. So a big field here tonight. Justin White, Lupe Gonzalez not out there on the racetrack. So those drivers will have to work their way either from the back, although I do believe that Justin White is going to be our
in race official here tonight in the Total Nonstop Racing League. As you see the iRacing pace car up there at the front, we will see hopefully that pace car head down pit road, but the field isn't quite formed up here, Bob, so I'm wondering if they're going to add an extra lap of pacing and whatnot just to make sure that the field is ready to go green here on 3Y TV. How you guys doing in the chat here tonight? Definitely going to be a lot of fun, that is for sure. And you can't see that iRacing pace car will go by the start-finish line here. So the Total Nonstop Racing officials realizing that the field wasn't quite ready to be formed up there, Bob. A good heads-up move to just add an extra lap of pacing here before the drop of the green flag. 150 miles, 100 laps. I should get that right here tonight at the 1.5 mile racetrack. Going to be pretty interesting to see what happens here, Bob. I think this is the first time that TNR, I could be wrong in saying so, but I think this might be the first time that TNR has actually come to this version of the Texas Motor Speedway since it was reconfigured, at least based on my memory. Like I said, I could be wrong. I've slept since then. Definitely the first time this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I believe you might be right, Peter. We haven't really done any racing in Texas aside from, obviously COTA last week. So, first time here for the league back at this newly reconfigured version of Texas, and I'm getting ready to get this thing going green. This is going to be some great racing, some fast qualifying speed. So, this should be a fun one here. 100 laps, 150 miles. Let's go green.
Absolutely. A big shout out to S2R for putting up the funds here tonight for the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series and the Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck 150, waiting for the green flag to come out here for your race leaders, Kevin McCann and Anthony DeBarro on the front row, waiting for that green flag. There it is. We're racing here at Texas.
And a great jump there on the start by the 27 machine of Anthony DeBarro on the outside. He's going to be neck and neck, side by side as they head off into turn number 1. Brian McCann on his inside, and they're just 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. Some great racing here coming out down the back straightaway. Yeah,
some absolute stellar racing pretty much all the way through the pack. Your race leaders now getting a little bit more single file. Kevin McCann is going to take the race lead, although we're hearing an accident has occurred. An accident on the backstretch has occurred. It's taken out some of our drivers. Kyle Geveshausen making his return. What happened here? There's the number 44 machine right there, the Busch Light machine right there in the center of the field. Oh, he gets loose down into Robert Kenny, and straight up into Kyle Lewis. Cars going around everywhere. Vincent Valvano involved. You see the number 3, Jason Shue. Todd Kirkwood just squeaking on through. Kirkwood's been having some terrible luck. Stephen Kegman able to get it woed down. And look at Matthew Rodriguez coming to an absolute halt there. But that all happened with Kyle Geveshausen getting loose.
Yeah, just a really tough break. And that's the outcome of some really tight racing here is the 44 just got a little bit squirrely coming out of 2. We saw that a lot in practice. Unfortunately, the 34 of Robert Kenny was down there, and he just bounced off of him and collected pretty much the majority of the back half of the field there. And a phenomenal job there by the 57 of Matthew Rodriguez to say, you know what, I'm just going to slam on the brakes and let everything kind of happen the way it is. So a great heads-up play there by the 57 to try to keep it off the wall.
Yeah, I'm going to see if we can get a look here on board with Kyle Lewis, and then we'll get the look a little bit further back. Keep your eyes on the number 44, gets loose, gets into Robert Kenny straight up the racetrack, and Kyle Lewis's race is over before it even really got going, and that's some hefty contact with the inside wall. Let's see if we can figure out what happened back there. I want to see how some of these other drivers avoided this carnage. Let's see if we can go on board here with Garrett Gleason in the number 7 machine. You see the accident happening. Garrett slowing down. There's Todd Kirkwood, the number 19 machine right there beside him. And Todd Kirkwood, what a great move there by Kirkwood to crank his number 19 back up towards the top side of the racetrack. Let's see if we can go see what happened here to Todd Kirkwood. This is definitely going to be a lot of fun. Just looking out the nose cam right here. Cars starting to go around. Then Vincent Valvano comes down the racetrack, and right up the racetrack went Todd Kirkwood. That is a great job keeping the Desert Hobbies Ford nice and clean here in the early go. And we're going to have to go back live because up at the front of the field, it won't be all too long before the iRacing pace car lights get turned off. But I'm seeing Bob, Jason Shu, Steven Doziak, Vincent Valvano, Kyle Lewis, Kyle Geveshausen. So those 5 drivers really getting quite a bit of damage here in the early going. I think Vincent Valvano, Kyle Lewis, Kyle Geveshausen, those 3 drivers calling it quits. I think Steven Doziak also, it might be night done for him. Jason Shu seems to be the only driver involved in that accident to really able to survive it. Believe it or not, as there is the number 3 Toyota Supra working his way around the racetrack right now.
Yeah, just a little bit of back end damage, but nothing looks like too bad. But, pretty crazy to think there that 2/3 of our Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash drivers were involved in that incident. The 3 of Jason Shu and the 57 of Matthew Rodriguez. And Ben Izinga was pretty safe in that one, but as we say that, it looks like the 3 might be pulling down onto pit road. 57 just pulling off of pit road. So, this will be interesting with the race inside the race.
Yeah, so Rodriguez there, I don't think he got any damage. I think he was able to get it slowed up in time, but definitely the number 3 machine up that we just saw of Jason Shu, definitely a lot of damage. I'm sure he's on pit road to get some of that damage repaired. Just checking to see whether or not he is on the lead lap. Technically, yes, Jason Shu is on the lead lap right now, hustling off of pit lane. So he will continue to stay on the lead lap in the number 3 that you see right there on your screen. Let's go check out the chat. Steven Doziak says his number 55 machine is toast here tonight. That is a shame there, Doze. John Canizaro saying texting and driving. Dude, that is usually a bad thing to do. You're under caution, though. Johnny Williams saying, dang, the bad luck for Kyle Lewis continues. Yeah, that number 18 is junked. Ricky Juggin Reed saying that looks crazy. Rooting on Todd Kirkwood. Todd Kirkwood saying that was fun to miss. I don't know. You might need a new pair of underwear after that one there, Todd. The Windsors rooting on Bill Edwards. I gotta say, the Windsors, I heard that you were rooting for me last weekend at Circuit of the Americas. I appreciate you rooting me on. It was a lot of fun to actually kind of broadcast a race from the driver's seat for once. Hadn't ever done that here on 3Wide TV. Stephen Doziak says he gets to go to bed early. Hondo Longmire saying, came to watch Nick Cohan lose again. My oh my. Johnny Williams also saying, good luck all and hello to the booth. Folks, thanks for stopping by here on 3Wide TV as we work our way through lap number 5 here. Going to be going green on lap number 6. And yeah, early to bed for Stephen Doziak. Dozy, are you getting that old already? It's only 8:46 there on the East Coast. Maybe you are. I don't know. We'll just poke some fun at you. It's okay. I like to go to bed early myself. But the pace car lights are off, so the action going to heat up, folks. So don't go to bed. Doze, stay right here. You don't want to miss this green flag coming up. Hopefully, Bob, we can get a little bit more than half of a lap under green flag conditions or so.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see here as the pace car is off and the field making their way towards the restart zone. Good jump there on the restart there by Kevin McCann, able to get the jump on the 27 of DeBarro, and he's going to lead the field down into turn number 1. The front couple of cars able to fan out or go back into single file. A little side-by-side racing a little bit further back there between the 17 of Ben Izinga and the 03 of Brian McCann as the field looks to make its way all the way down the back straightaway now.
Yeah, so Izenga going to lose out that spot to Brian McCann. Your top 9 are exactly where they started the race here tonight, believe it or not. Tristan Maher right there in the number 98 would be the first driver to gain a spot right now. He's got around JT Poole and up inside the top 10 because of it. There's Spencer Tart running in 12. Not a whole lot of position changes up in the top half of the field. Of course, with the accident, there's quite a bit of position changes in the back half of the field, but Spencer Tart now looking to the inside right there of JT Poole, but kind of back out of it a little bit. That was nice and close. Here's Daniel Buttafuoco, who was locked in that battle for the win at Circuit of the Americas last week. A 3-car battle for the win included Buttafuoco, and it was very intense from the driver's seat, that is for sure. But Buttafuoco again having a good showing in the 8th position right now, right in front of John Canizaro in the number 58 Ford. That's right, it's the Ford Mustang right there, Bob.
Love it. The Ford Mustang, and you know what? I am more than okay with it. I love those kind of sponsors that, the manufacturer is the sponsor, and you could always say Ford, and it's just fun to say.
Ford for Fords, right? How many more things can we say that actually make sense in a row? But anyway, up at the front of the field, Brian McCann, Ben Izenga battling it out for the 5th position. Right there. Just looking to see, I think Tristan Maher all over the back bumper of Spencer Tart here, now looking to the high line. And going back to my point, Bob, this is a very tricky racetrack to pass at nowadays. It's not only tricky in real life, but it's tricky in the sim. Of course, in real life, it's somewhat aided as I think we got Tim Johnson and Daniel Buttafuoco locked in a battle now. John Cannizzaro and Tim Johnson. Of course, it's just as I'm starting to say this racetrack's tough to pass at, we start to see some passing going on, because why not? This racetrack, because of the way it's configured, you got turn number 1 and 2, which is just a little bit flatter than turn number 3 and 4. It's so wide here. You're going to see a lot of drivers right down there on the white line, and that is the preferred way around. And if you're on the higher groove, well, you just all of a sudden lose a lot of grip up there. It's a much longer way around the racetrack, and it's so flat, you're definitely going to feel it. Now, turn number 3 and 4, this end of the racetrack, this is where you want to get that good run coming out of turn number 4 down the front stretch, but you got the double dogleg there. Yeah, very easy for someone to throw a block down there and to thwart the momentum of the car. And then if you've thwarted that momentum through the double left there on the straightaway, well, then you can get to the inside of the car for turn number 1. And if you can't get to the inside of turn number 1, very difficult to make a pass around this racetrack. So, we'll of course see certain drivers go against that, but something has happened, Bob. I am not seeing Kevin McCann on the racetrack. I'm wondering if there is a connection issue with Kevin McCann, because all of a sudden, our early race leader has thoroughly disappeared from my live timing and scoring, and it happened at 10 2/3 laps exactly. And obviously that doesn't make too much sense, a car just stopping at 10 2/3 laps. So definitely, I believe that to be connection issues on the number 42 machine. That is just an absolute disaster for Kevin McCann, your early race leader.
Yeah, and taking a look here, Peter, at the in-race information, it looks like it popped up that he might have been disqualified. I don't know if it was an errant button press on part of the administration or what had happened, but Kevin McCann is not in the rest of tonight's race. So a really, really tough break there for the 42 machine, having a great run, led all 10 laps, started on the pole, and just a tough break there for the number 42 Chevy.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm curious to know if anyone up here can let us know up here in the booth. We, of course, get to see what iRacing tells us, but that's something that we did not expect to see, that Kevin McCann up at the front of the field. Hopefully, like you said, it was just an errant click, but that will be something that he will not be happy, that's for sure. Now, a little bit further back in the pack, here is John Cannizzaro battling now with Spencer Tart. Tart throwing a block there in turn number 3 and 4. Now, this goes back to what I was talking about. Now you see John Cannizzaro. He's trying to get that strong run out of turn number 4. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle out of that driver. Trying to get down to the lower side here for turn number 1. Like I said, it's the best place to make a pass right here. And the racetrack does kind of open up for a dive bomb or two. In fact, we've seen that here on 3Y TV in some of the races we've been to at this racetrack. Now the 28, Tim Johnson, he got a great run, however, through turn number 2. Can he pull off this pass on Cannizzaro? Although the higher line here through turn number 3 and 4 is usually quite strong, so it's definitely better than the higher line through turn number 1 and 2. But we definitely saw the 58 of Cannizzaro again have a slide, and that's going to allow Tim Johnson to make that pass for the 10th position.
Yeah, and then coming out of turn 4 like that, we've seen a lot of it in practice where drivers were losing it coming out of that 4th corner, and I don't know if it's just too much momentum, the bottom kind of dropping out of the car. as you're coming off of the banking or what, but you know, that's something that we're going to have to keep a lookout on, especially as this run goes on. Once the tires start getting older, they'll start losing some grip. The car is going to get tighter, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's going to snap loose on you. So it's going to be interesting as this race goes on to see how these drivers are able to kind of combat the tire wear coming off the corner like that.
Yeah, we're getting word in the chat. Just going back to the situation with Kevin McCann, it was an accidental disqualification for Kevin McCann. So just like what you thought, Bob, unfortunately, iRacing, sometimes the options are extremely small on the screen. And I think the buttons between like PM driver and disqualify driver and mute driver are all right next to one another. And I have seen it before multiple times, believe it or not, that has happened. I've also seen drivers accidentally misclick, but as I say that, caution flag has come out. So we'll put a pin in that one. Check out this caution flag, hearing that Nick Chambrone might have gone off the rail. Ooh, contact there with Robert Kenny. And the 01 gets completely sideways, and heavy contact with one driver there, and 97 going through the grass. Man, that was some not good contact. All started here, so let's see if we can figure out what happened here, Bob. We might have to figure out some of these drivers. Here comes the number, is that the number 62 back there of Colin Ullery? It is. The West Virginia Mountaineers machine gets right up into the back of Nick Chambrone right there. And that's some heavy, heavy contact. Then behind them, here comes Brady Todd and Jason Gracias. And behind Brady Todd in the green machine, you see Gracias get a piece of that. That's the number 97 right there. That is Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian driver, going through the grass. And unfortunately, straight into the back of Nick Chambrone. Kind of a very tough accident there for a couple of the drivers, but all your leaders now on pit road, led by Anthony DeBarro, who is in his pit box right now.
Yeah, and just a tough break there for a lot of those drivers. They were starting to, you know, get a little more even out. We saw Robert Kenny in there, kind of being a bit of the catalyst with that, with contact between the 0-1 and himself, and just a really tough break for all those drivers. But now everyone's out there getting the some fresh tires, and going to be getting back out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, just seeing what's going on here, John Cannizzaro Jr. up at the front. He did not appear to stop in his pit box. So not sure if that was by design or not. But the number 58 will most likely have to come back down pit road this time by to presumably get fuel. 21 laps on his tires. He has yet to pit here tonight. Meanwhile, every single other driver in the field has made one pit stop now with this caution flag coming out around lap number 21. And sure enough, John Cannizzaro is going to bleed down pit road. Back behind him is Jason Shue. Of course, Shue was involved in the first accident here tonight in the number 3 machine, the Firehouse Grill Toyota Supra. And with both of those cars coming down pit road, that will hand the lead back to this driver right here of Anthony DeBarro. Let's pick up some of the biggest movers inside the top 10. That would actually be Josh Gerlach in the number 71. You see him right there. It is always race day, says Josh Gerlach on the hood of his machine. Biggest mover in the field, however, has not been easy for him here tonight, Bob, but that would be Robert Kenny, who is almost inside the top 10 in the 11th position right now, and somehow, some way, he's in the 11th position, because remember, there was, I believe, contact with him under that last incident, as well as one of the earlier incidents that we saw, the first caution, and somehow the number 34 is up there in the 11th position right now.
Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised to see if he restarts this one there in the 11th position, just because of that contact between he and Cannizzaro. If he was the one to call out the yellows, and that is one rule that we have here at the Total Nonstop Racing League, where if you are the cause of a yellow flag and you call it out, you receive an end-of-line penalty, so you have to go to the end of the longest line at the restart. So it's going to be interesting to see if he keeps that 11th position starting spot as of right now, or if he'll be heading back to the end of pit road.
Yeah, so now looking at some of these cars a little bit further back in the pack involved in some of our accidents here tonight. Not sure what happened to Kevin Stone, but definitely some rear end damage on the Desert Hobbies number 14, unfortunately. Looking a little bit further back, there's Jason Schust again. Nope, I thought he was again coming down pit road. There's Stephen Kegman, the Angry Orchard cider machine right there. Kegman coming through the quad oval. Vincent Valvano was involved in the first accident in the carsforcause.org machine. Then, of course, back behind him is Garrett Gleason running the Thornton Graphix scheme here tonight. A great-looking paint scheme on the number 7, showing what the series sponsor can do. Make sure you check out Thornton Graphix. There's a link in the description to their Facebook page, as well as, of course, Dunn Raceway Park. There's a link to that one as well, an indoor off-road RC racing track up in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Of course, sponsoring the Total Nonstop Racing Stadium Super Truck Series. And, of course, tonight's race is brought to you by the S2R Silent Syndicate Racing. As you see, there is the number 70 of Bill Edwards, kind of on the left side of your screen there with a very patriotic-looking Chevy Camaro, running right now in the 16th position. His teammate Ben Izenga running inside the top 10 in the 10th position in the number 17 machine, actually 9th, excuse me, in the Air Canada machine. So we're about to go back to the green flag racing. We're all doubled up here for the restart. And Anthony DeBarro here going to be restarting on the high line there, Bob.
Yeah, interesting choice for him to choose that high line. Then again, the last couple of restarts that we've had, he's had a good fire off when the green flag came out, and we see that yet again, as he's going to fire off really well against his Dizzy Motorsports teammate, the 21, and Nick Cohan. So DeBarro, a great jump on the restart. Cohan able to follow in behind him, and then side by side for the rest of the field as they head off through turns 1 and 2.
There looked like a little bit of 3 wide going on. It still is going on here. Jimmy McKee in the inside throwing a big block on Bill Edwards, driving him all the way down to the wrong side of the racetrack right there. He was locked in that battle with Jason Freeman in the number 20 and John Borst. Now Borst going way up the racetrack in the number 0. That's going to allow, a couple of drivers to go on by. Philip Scott, Bill Edwards. What about Brady Todd? Can he make a move on John Borst before they get to turn number 1 and 2? Sure does look like it. As again, the number 0 going way up to the top side of the racetrack. That is the longest way around this racetrack. There's no real benefit to running it here at this particular track because it isn't progressively banked or anything like that. Here, looking at the number 78 and the number 71, Josh Gerlach, he is now back to the 11th position. So we're just highlighting that he was a couple spots higher than that. One of the biggest losers here on this restart.
Yeah, just can't believe that 71 was able to fall back that quickly like that, almost like he might have spun his tires or something on the restart, but already dropping back just a little bit more, and still plenty of race, but a bit of a tough break here early going.
Looking a little bit further up towards the front, Andrew Himmelman just got himself up into the 3rd spot. Daniel Buttafuoco in the number 30 just got around JT Poole, so Poole dropping from 3rd back to 5th. Buttafuoco now up inside the top 4 for the first time here tonight. Ben Izenga, JT Poole, I don't know if he dropped a blanket or something out, a parachute, more like it. That number 26 seems a little bit slow right now, as cars are just whipping around the outside of him. I'm wondering here maybe if JT Poole only took fuel under that last pit stop. Yes, indeed he did. So this is something we didn't really notice there, Bob, but some different strategies on pit road. Let's see if we can bring up the graphic here with the pit stop time inside the top 10. So that's not the top 10. Let's fix that graphics for all you folks back home. So Anthony DeBarro, 7.3 second stop. So presumably only fuel only on DeBarro. Andrew Himmelman, Daniel Buttafuoco, Ben Izenga, those drivers had about a 15-second stop. That tells me 4 tires and fuel for those cars. Of course, we do have tire limits here in the Total Nonstop Racing League as, man, DeBarro gets a nudge from Andrew Himmelman. Like you said, Bob, giving him a little bit of the bumper. You mentioned that earlier in the top of the show.
Yeah, just a little bit of the bumper there. The 8 looked to the inside of the 27, but now here comes the 30 Wow, Daniel Buttafuoco going to the inside, and oh, trouble! The 8 of Andrew Himmelman hard into the outside wall, and it'll be interesting to see if there's a caution that comes out because of it.
Yeah, that number 8 machine is completely junked. You can see him up there against the wall, waiting for an opportunity to get down to the inside of the racetrack. There goes the last couple of cars, and yeah, Andrew Himmelman going to get down to pit row, but that all, I think, started when there was a little bit of a nudge, and maybe, just maybe, Anthony DeBarro said, dude, why are you bumping me at this point in the race? Sometimes you get raced the way, you race other drivers. Himmelman gets to the inside here. There's the nudge, gets the number 27 loose. Great save there by Anthony DeBarro. And then they're 3 wide down the backstretch right here. Oh, this is going to give a great look at what happened here. 3 wide, Buttafuoco to the inside, and DeBarro just turns straight down into Himmelman. Cranks him up into the outside wall. And that number 8 SimShots machine going for a ride. Folks, can you believe that we stayed green flag through that? But Himmelman's night again here. Total Nonstop Racing League having just the worst season you can imagine out again at Texas.
Yeah, just such a tough break. I know Andrew's been having a phenomenal run in the Super Speedway series that National Sim Racing Association does here on Thursday nights, pardon me. But just absolutely snake bitten here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, and Andrew's one of those guys that you're always kind of rooting for just to get that first win here in the TNR series. And unfortunately, tonight is not going to be that night. But taking a look here up at the front of the pack, a great battle here between the 17 of Ben Izinga and Daniel Buttafuoco. A little 2-car battle, 3-car battle if you had Spencer Tart just behind them. All this battling out for the lead.
Yeah, this is the battle for the race lead up at the front. Ben Izenga, S2R to the front. Tonight's race sponsor, S2R. Well, at least the race is presented by S2R in the Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck 150. Of course, one of the Total Nonstop Racing League series that they put on. So move the S2R machines to the front. Buttafuoco to second, Spencer Tart to third. Jason Freeman is currently in the 4th position. They get around the lapped car of Mike Floppy Tellier. Here comes Bill Edwards slicing his S2R machine down to the inside. And back behind them, Philip Scott, Anthony DeBarro, and Jimmy McKee. These cars continuing to slide backwards. Some of these cars on older tires. DeBarro has yet to change tires. He's currently the highest placed driver on the tires that he started the race with. He is in 7th. Nick Cohan in the number 21 in that same boat, still inside the top 10. Meanwhile, look back behind him. John Cannizzaro, JT Poole, and Brian McCann, 3 wide down the backstretch.
Man, some great 3 wide and side-by-side action here all over at Texas. And, Peter, we were talking here in the onset of this race that it's very hard to pass here at Texas. And honestly, I'm a little surprised seeing all of this side-by-side and 3 wide action here for Texas, because Texas typically turns into, especially on a fairly long run, a bit of a one-laned racetrack where there's really not a whole lot to go and not a lot of room to pass, even though the track is so wide. So I am just absolutely loving the side-by-side racing, and some good battling here as we see the 98 machine of Tristan Maher just do a little brush on that outside wall.
Yeah, just kissing it just a little bit. Meanwhile, going up towards the top 5, Bill Edwards and Philip Scott are battling for position right in front of Jimmy McKee as well as Briar Fritz. Fritz in the number 16, the Hyper Ice Chevrolet, was almost involved in the last caution flag. So Briar right here now looking to the inside of James McKee. This will be the battle for the 6th position. So, the 7th position. Briar Fritz now up into 7th. McKee now back to 8th. And all of a sudden, a very different top 10 to what we saw earlier in the race, as Ben Izenga now up to about an 0.8 of a second lead over Daniel Buttafuoco, who's being caught by Spencer Tart, the number 78, right there behind him. And then it's a gap back to Jason Freeman. In fact, a huge gap back to Jason Freeman. There is the Mason-Dixon Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Of course, Mason-Dixon Cornhole on the side of Jason Freeman's number 20 here tonight, right in front of the Silent Syndicate Racing machine of Bill Edwards. And then back behind them, you got the 99, Briar Fritz back there as well James McKee, Anthony DeBarro, and John Cannizzaro currently rounding out your top 10. There is Cannizzaro right in front of Nick Cohan. I believe what we might be starting to see here is maybe, Todd Kirkwood almost getting the outside wall coming out of turn number 2. That was close for Todd. But I'm just thinking here tonight, maybe Todd has finally got that bad monkey off his back, Bob. We've seen Todd Kirkwood have some unfortunate runs here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, not of his own doing. But here tonight, solidly inside the top 15. Running a little bit higher up there on the racetrack. Just recently got around Austin Grover. He's picked up 20 positions since the drop of the green flag here as we close in on the halfway mark in the Grand National Series Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck 150 presented by Silent Syndicate Racing.
Yeah, Peter, let's knock on wood here with Todd because he has been having a great night so far. Was able to dodge that first wreck and hopefully, all things stay status quo, and Kirkwood's going to be getting himself a pretty decent finish as this race goes on. Stephen Kegman now taking the dive into turn number 1 on the inside of the 57 of Matthew Rodriguez. Little battle a little further back here in the pack for 23rd. But some good side-by-side racing now between the 83 of Austin Grover and the 98 of Tristan Maher.
Yeah, and Grover really lost quite a bit of time there. Unfortunately, he's going to lose another spot to Josh Gerlach. Now, up towards this group right here, this is a little train forming around the racetrack. It's got Bill Edwards right there, Jason Freeman, Briar Fritz, Philip Scott, and James McKee. No real changes in position between these drivers, but it's definitely got a little bit tighter from Jason Freeman back to Jimmy McKee. As, like I said, we're closing in on the halfway mark here very, very quickly. Let's go check out the chat. Ben Adams saying, man, that was a little bit of argy-bargy between the number 27 and, of course, Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine. DeBarro still running out there on the racetrack in 9th. I'm not sure if there was any choice words split between those drivers. There is DeBarro trying to hold off John Cannizzaro in that number 58. Of course, Cannizzaro is a teammate of Andrew Himmelman, so maybe we could see a little bit of hard racing between these two. Wouldn't be at all surprised, but it looks like Cannizzaro going to hold on and make that pass stick underneath DeBarro here. As you definitely can tell a little bit of front-end damage to DeBarro after that contact with Andrew Himmelman just there on the left front there, Bob.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that damage is going to affect the 27 as the race goes on. Obviously, if the damage is bad enough, they'll have some optional repairs on pit road the next time the 27 makes his way down to change tires. So that is definitely going to be interesting. But meanwhile, here up at the front of the pack, just about a 4 or 5 car battle for 4th place there between Philip Scott, Jimmy McKee, Briar Fritz, 50 of Bill Edwards. So some good battling going on here in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good battles. Moved McKee now up to the 6th position. So good job for him. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Tim Johnston now closing in on Anthony DeBarro. That number 28 has definitely caught the number 27 here. Nick Cohan as well lurking in the background of the number 28. So a couple of the Disney Motorsports teammates running all here together just outside the top 10. As Johnson going to look to the inside of DeBarro. Interestingly enough, though, here, Tim Johnston, Bob, also did not take tires under that first pit stop. So that number 28 machine starting to make some moves. Now he is the highest placed driver, I think, who has yet to take a set of tires. Looks like Cohan going to try and make the pass on DeBarro as well. So move him now to the 2nd highest placed driver who's yet to take tires here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And Briar Fritz throwing a huge block on Tim Johnston here. I'm sure if I'm Tim Johnston, I'm probably not all too happy with that. Again, sometimes you get raced the way you race other people, and I'm sure Tim Johnston will have seen that and won't be all too kind or fond of that, especially with the fact that Tim Johnston appears to be on the move right now as the USAA number 28 definitely going to drop to the inside, push Briar Fritz to that higher groove. And here comes Brian McCann, the 03 machine, who temporarily this evening was 1-2 in the provisional time chart in qualifying with his teammate Kevin, or brother Kevin. And it's whoa there, Bob. I think all of a sudden Breyer Fritz appears to be really struggling out there on the racetrack, and they almost wadded him up in turn 3.
Yeah, that got really, really tight. I'm not sure if the 16 just kind of cooked his tires a little bit too much and has no grip to get into the corner, but wow, that was really close, and a good heads-up move there by the 03 of Brian McCann to stay off of him and, just not damage his car up too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking to see if there are any other battles up towards the top 10. Not really at this present moment in time. So we'll drop a little bit further back as Brian McCann and Breyer Fritz are now side by side. This is the side-by-side battle for the 11th. Looks like for right now, Breyer Fritz is going to hold on to that spot. DeBarro now looking underneath Brian McCann. But looks like McCann just going to be able to pull away and out front of DeBarro as they run. Looking a little bit further back, Josh Gerlach side-by-side right now with driver of the number 19 of Todd Kirkwood. So move Gerlach up to the top 15. And here comes Tristan Thuggy Maher. Got the nickname Thuggy. Haven't met him. Can't tell you how much of a thug he really is, but he's running the 3-wide TV, so the 3-wide TV machine, so that definitely gets him some props in my books as he closes in on Todd for that 16th position. Maher started the race in 11th here tonight. Also is one of the drivers who has yet to use a set of tires on pit road, but a sustained green flag run here, Bob. Things looking good at the Texas Motor Speedway as we're now into the back half of tonight's 150-mile event, the Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Truck Series 150 from Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Peter, this race is just absolutely flying by right now. They're on lap number 53 out of 100, and now is kind of when you have to sit there and say, okay, we've got a pretty long green flag run going. Are we going to have to pit under green? Will there be green flag pit stops, or will this race have any more cautions? I would probably err on the side of cautions just because of the good battles that have been going out there on the racetrack. Just one little slip up, especially with old tires here. That's going to be interesting to see, but we'll kind of have to see as this race goes on. Lap 55 now, and long green flag run. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, you can definitely not complain about that here as, just fat-fingered something there, folks. But up at the front of the field, Izenga and Buttafuoco. This is what I was trying to pull up for you guys when that graphic just popped up. Is this one right here. So the gap between Izenga and Buttafuoco is about staying where it's at for right now. However, Izenga's caught some lap traffic. First off, Vincent Valvano is going a lap down. Now Izenga's caught Garrett Gleason. Don't expect Gleason to put up too much of a fight here, as now Izenga has Brady Todd in front of him. But that gap between Izenga and Buttafuoco definitely not closing in at all. Then you have Buttafuoco and Spencer Tart. Tart is definitely closing in a little bit on Buttafuoco, but that gap is still about 1.8 seconds. Then back behind him, Spencer Tart to Bill Edwards. That gap, definitely a slow lap a couple laps ago for Bill Edwards, about a half second slower. Not sure if something happened between them. But then looking at Bill Edwards, the gap back behind to James McKee is staying about where it's at. Not any major changes there. Meanwhile, Jimmy McKee is definitely pulling away from Jason Freeman. Then, further back, Tim Johnston is closing in on Jason Freeman, but about a 1.5 seconds between those two. Then you got, Tim Johnson and Nick Cohan. They are running about equal lap times with one another, not really doing anything there. Cohan is pulling away from John Cannizzaro just a little bit, and then John Cannizzaro is being caught just a little bit from behind by Brian McCann. So that is going to kind of give you a look at what's going on inside the top 10 right now. No real battles for position except for Tim Johnson and Nick Cohan, but those drivers have kind of been locked together for quite some time now. There is the USA number 28 first driver who has not got a fresh set of tires on his machine. Those are the same tires that he started the race with here at Texas Motor Speedway. And I'm just thinking here, Bob, that I would think that our round of pit stops would probably open with about 30. I mean, I think that the pit window is basically open with about 40 laps to go. Definitely right on that cusp of splitting this race in two, considering we had a caution flag on lap number 21. This is the last time these drivers were all on pit road. In fact, we can bring up that graphic. There we go. There's the graphic. So Izenga, Buttafuoco, Spencer Chart, basically everyone was on pit road at lap number 21. So at about 80 laps to go, we now have 40 laps to go here. So this would be splitting that race in half from the last time they were on pit road. So I expect to see some drivers start to come down pit road probably in the next lap or two, I would think.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, about 40 laps, like you had said. Philip Scott actually was the first to flinch. He just came down pit road a couple of laps ago. So now he's back in the 27th position. So, you know, that pit window might start opening up. We see the 03 on pit road right now, as well as a couple of other drivers, including the 26 of JT Poole and the 27 of Anthony DeBarro. So those green flag pit stops are happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Yep, there's Spencer Tart on pit road in his machine. Just seeing if anyone else. Brian McCann, there we go. Anthony DeBarro, JT Poole. They're heading off pit road. Who else is coming down pit road? Not seeing anyone else just yet, but that is interesting to see some of these takers. Ooh, here comes Ben Izenga, your race leader. As I say that, the number 17 Air Canada Chevrolet on pit road. Of course, one of the Silent Syndicate drivers here tonight on 3Y TV. I'm sure he'll be super happy to be leading the race. In fact, he's the one who put up the funds to sponsor tonight's race. So double special for Ben Izenga in the Air Canada Chevy Camaro. Garrett, I know you needed a sponsor for tonight's race, but did you really have to give Izenga the rocket fuel out there for doing so? I'm sure that will set a precedence for everyone. Sponsor a race and you get rocket fuel. Buttafuoco with a big slide getting to pit road, trying to get down to pit lane speed, and that will not help his chances there, as he definitely locked him up getting to pit lane. Hopefully he made it down to pit road speed, or else he will receive a iRacing penalty if he was deemed to have sped on pit road. I don't expect him to, because iRacing uses average speed over segments on pit road, rather than, if you go 1 mile an hour over for a split second, you're not going to get dinged as long as your average speed over a segment of pit road is below the speed limit. But while things are cycling through, we saw Bill Edwards on pit road. This man right here, James McKee, is your current race leader, Bob.
Yeah, and James McKee having a good run. He's 44 laps into this run, so it's going to be interesting to see how much longer he can go. Everyone else went about 40 to 43 laps, so I would expect McKee to start coming down to pit in. A couple other drivers making the announcement they're heading down pit road. The 34 of Robert Kenny, the 0 of John Borst, Kevin Stone, Tim Johnston, all as well. So a lot of drivers still completing their green flag pit cycle. But right now, just some green flag pit stops.
Yeah, so we see Bill Edwards coming off pit road, John Canizaro to his pit box, Briar Fritz to his box right now, Robert Kinney, Jason Gracias back behind him. We see the 222 machine. That is not in the race. That is Justin White. He is the out-of-race official. But look at this. This changes everything. Caution flag is waving at Texas Motor Speedway, and this is going to help James McKee considerably, because he was still out there on the racetrack. What brought out the caution flag here, Bob?
Looks like Brady Todd coming out of turn number 2 just kind of got loose, similar to how we saw the 44 of Kyle Givishausen get involved. Just some contact and spun around there.
and he was just on pit road, so cold tires for the number 15 machine. We'll get another look at that one, but my oh my, that is going to put this race very much into the hands of James McKee in the number 10 machine. The number 15 gets loose right in front of Anthony DeBarro. No contact with the number 27 machine, but man, there's going to be a lot of unhappy drivers. That is for sure here, that things not going their way, but now here comes your race leader down pit road. He's very happy. Driver of the number 10 of Jimmy McKee getting to his pit box. Other drivers on pit road right now is Nick Cohan. Cohan also has the advantage of having an extra set of tires on pit road. That is for sure. Jason Freeman, Matthew Rodriguez on pit road, Todd Kirkwood, Austin Grover on pit road right now. This is going to be an interesting field for sure when we go back green. It currently is going to cycle through where Ben Izenga, Bob, is going to be your race leader, because he actually unlapped himself, believe it or not, in the number 17 on the fresher tires, but he's got a couple of lap-old tires on that number 17. We've seen here tonight that tires are fairly important. We at least saw that with drivers like Anthony DeBarro sliding back through the field. I think this is going to be an advantage for drivers like Jimmy McKee, Nick Cohan on those fresher tires for sure.
Definitely, and we're right about the window where some of these drivers did wind up coming down. The first series of cautions and pit stops where, some of the drivers who stayed out, they had 7-lap older tires as well. Ben Izinga has 6-lap older tires, Spencer Tart, Brian McCann. So a lot of these drivers, they might fire off pretty well, but as the run goes on, I would be surprised if they didn't start falling back just a little bit. So, this caution really does change a lot of this landscape for the race as they roll on now with about 33 some odd laps to go.
So that is, like you said, definitely going to change the landscape of this race as we're now into the final third of the race. Lap number 69 is the lap number that we are working here tonight. We'll see if we can get some nices in the chat, but hey, definitely been an interesting race, Bob. Only 2 cautions up to this point, this being the third caution. A bit rough and tumble early in the race, and we had that long green flag run. Green flag pit stops, you can't ask for anything more here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, and definitely going to be an interesting race looking back on this one. Because of all that has happened, you kind of think back and it feels like we've had 10 caution flags here tonight at Texas with the way things have gone, but that is definitely not the case. Been a really, really good race so far. Hopefully everyone in Chatland is enjoying it here on 3Wide TV here tonight. Make sure to give a like to the video if you're watching from home. We got Bo Batten, Ricky Juggin Reed rooting on Todd Kirkwood in that number 19 machine. You see him right there. Currently running in the 6th position, picked up 29 positions from the drop of the green flag, started all the way back in 35th, now running up there in 6th. So good run so far for Todd Kirkwood. And again, Bob, we're knocking on wood because Todd has not had a lot of luck this season. Austin Grover has gained 30 positions from the drop of the green flag, started at 37th, now running in 7th. Matthew Rodriguez behind him, picking up 26 spots. So definitely that caution flag, when it came out, kind of throwing some of these drivers for the loop, and other drivers like Kirkwood, Grover, and Rodriguez really taking advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those guys, they were around some trouble earlier on in the race. They let the green flag run, kind of run its course, able to almost luck out a bit with the caution coming out. To pick up some really good positioning, but that caution trapped a lot of really good drivers a lap down. I mean, guys 20th on back, John Borst, Philip Scott, Breyer Fritz, who we saw battling for the lead not too long ago. So a lot of those guys trapped 1 lap down now, and they're going to need a caution and a wave around or something to get them all back up on the lead lap. So, we'll see how this one goes as field getting ready to go back green here.
Pace car working its way through turn number 3 and 4 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. You see some of the field towards the back of this group. Those drivers back there, Bob, they took the wave around. So they're back on the lead lap technically, but they did not have the opportunity to come down pit road and get fresh tires like some of these drivers. Green flag waves once again here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and it is Ben Izenga on about 5 lap older tires right now, leading us down towards turn number 1. Meanwhile, Nick Cohan, Jamie McKee, Jason Freeman, they're on fresh, brand new rubber. They have to make their way around this racetrack. We have seen here tonight a couple of accidents on fresh tires. We saw it right at the drop of the green flag, and we just saw it there with Brady Todd. So it seems like maybe it's very, very difficult to get through the first lap, and as to prove the point, caution flag is out here. Hearing that maybe Stephen Kegman and Austin Grover might have been involved in this. Looking a little bit further back in the pack, here we go, looking at Stephen Kegman in the number 22. Did it happen in front of him? Yes, it did. Austin Grover going around, and bam! Heavy contact between the 22 and the 83.
Man, a tough break. We were just saying how the 83 of Austin Grover was having a really good run, picked up 30 spots before the drop of the green flag there. But it looks like turn 2 comes up to bite yet another driver. That's the third time we've seen it where a car just kind of got loose coming out of 2, and, well, the rest is history.
Yeah, that will be Knight Dunn for the Angry Orchard number 22, as well as the AMD Ryzen number 83 of Austin Grover. Tough break for both of those drivers here. Now, here's kind of going to be the interesting question here. We did see, those drivers on slightly different strategies, like Ben Izenga up the front on slightly older tires. Are we going to see any of them decide to come down pit road here and maybe get fresher tires on the car? Now, here comes Anthony DeBarro. I think he might be in that group thinking about it, because remember, Bob, he had an extra set of tires on pit road. So DeBarro back on the lead lap, well deep in the field, and he's going to lose quite a bit of track position here by coming down pit road, but going to put himself on equal playing field with some of the cars up towards the front of the field, at least in the number of laps on tires. We'll see if that's the case. Maybe DeBarro here, well, as I say that, doesn't look like he's taking tires at all. Maybe just getting some damage. Yeah, definitely getting damage repaired. You saw the crew pull out the right front fender there. Maybe they'll pull out the left front. Yep, as I say it, the left front fender gets pulled out. So DeBarro getting damage repaired. That's why he came down pit road. But he's going to lose a ton of track position in the number 27 Toyota.
Yeah, and honestly, this caution came at a perfect time, if I can get words to work for me tonight, for DeBarro, because, like we had seen, he got some damage when he had tangled up with the 8 of Andrew Himmelman. So, and with the green flag pit stop, you really don't have all that time to go down pit road, get everything fixed and all that sort of thing. But here, it takes about a minute to get around the racetrack. So you have plenty of time to go down there, try to get as much as that optional repair damage fixed as possible. You're still on the lead lap, so by the time we restart, you'll get around the 12 or so cars that are 1 or more laps down. So, right now, DeBarro going to be restarting about 19th or 20th, give or take. So I think a good, smart move there for him to come down pit road, not really take tires. He's got 13 laps on the tires, but a lot of them have been run under caution. So, a good move by him to get the damage fixed, and he'll be back out there on the track in no time.
And now the in-race officials will be mentioning to everyone, hey, we've seen a couple of accidents here on these restarts, folks. Watch out for it. It gets loose coming out of turn number 2. We've seen it here tonight, and it's up to the in-race officials to jump on the radio, let all the drivers know, hey, be mindful of this when you work your way around the racetrack here tonight, because it can come out and bite you, and we have seen that on a couple of occasions here, unfortunately bringing out this particular caution here as we're closing in on the last quarter of the race. Izenga, Cohan, McKee, Freeman, and Gerlach, your top 5 as they run. And a little bit of an interesting top 5 there. Some newer faces like Josh Gerlach up there inside the top 10. Todd Kirkwood still in 6th. Matthew Rodriguez in 7th. Then you got Butta Fuoco, Tart, and Brian McCann rounding out your top 10. I think it's going to be an interesting finish here tonight. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get another caution or two. But hopefully these drivers can continue to put on a show for the fans that we got here in 3 Wide TV chat. Todd Kirkwood saying he needs a drink. Well, buddy, you got 26 or so more laps to go. Johnny Williams saying that's for tonight, including the number 44, that out of the cars that he has painted in the field, 4 of them have been damaged. The number 7 is a Timmy Hill paint job. Of course, Timmy Hill winning the iRacing invitational race thing that they did during COVID here last year at the Texas Motor Speedway. The only time you'll see Timmy Hill in victory lane in a NASCAR-sanctioned event, I do believe. I'm sure I'll have some people try to stone me for that. You got some big Timmy Hill fans out there, surprisingly. But Ricky Juggen Reed, right now, trying to give a beer to Todd Kirkwood. Todd, I'm curious to know what type of drink you want there, bud. Maybe you can type it in the chat. Bo Batten having a drink as well. Folks, if you want to go meet me at the bar after the race, let's go. That's probably where I'm headed after this one. But anyway, definitely got to finish this race out first. 25 laps to go. In fact, the final quarter of the race, 37.5 miles left here at Texas Motor Speedway when the green flag falls once again. Folks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the action here on 3 Wide TV. Here, Bob, coming to the green.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good battle. 25-lap shootout. Ben Izinga, Nick Cohan, your front row. Green flag is out. Great start there by the 17 of Ben Izinga. He's going to lead the field to the line. Nick Cohan able to block I believe that's the 10 of Jimmy McKee and the 20 there of Jason Freeman. They're going to go side by side, but that's going to open the door for McCann, or for the 17 of Izinga to jump ahead. But as I say, this yellow flag out again. And you know, Peter, we say cautions breed cautions, and here's JT Poole. Looks like he's going to get crossed up.
He goes to the inside and gets run over there by Spencer Tart. Not sure if JT Poole checked up or something there. That definitely looked a bit suspicious, like he might have gotten on the brakes. Maybe he saw that 3 wide in front of him, but kind of the wrong place, wrong time to get on the brakes like he did. This might be a bit more telling here, Bob, but definitely cut across the nose of Spencer Tart here going off into the corner.
Yeah, and I don't know if the 26 thought he was clear, didn't realize the 78 was there, but yeah, the 26 definitely slowed down a lot more, and the 78 of Tart was not expecting that. And unfortunately, you know, the rest is history, and it's always so frustrating to be on both sides of an incident like that. The 78, you're just kind of sitting there saying, man, why'd you slow down? The 28 saying, man, why'd you run me over? And you know, it's just so frustrating when things like that happen, and unfortunately, it's a racing deal here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and of course, Spencer Tart will also be saying, hey, buddy, why'd you cut down right in front of me and then slam on your brakes or slow down so much? I mean, that's, you know, part of that give and take, or I know we only have 23 laps to go. It's hard to give and take at this stage of the race. It's, at this point, pretty much all take, but for Spencer Tart, I'm sure he didn't have as much visual clues. Sometimes if you're running right behind the car in front of you, you're locked in on its back bumper for a period of time, you can kind of gauge that. But when the car kind of cuts down the racetrack, so you see the number 99 Philip Scott getting the lucky dog under this caution. When that car comes down across the racetrack, you just don't have any visual clues. You're already focused on the apex. You're not focused exactly on that car in front of you. And so when that happens, you just don't have a lot of time to react. And unfortunately, it leads to those types of situations. I'm sure that will be a difficult one for both of those drivers to see eye to eye on. But that's what happens here in racing. Quite often you see that type of thing, especially at this stage of the race. I'm sure, you know, both of those drivers, hopefully they will kind of see both sides of it. We've all been there. We've all been on both sides of that accident. If you've been in sim racing, you've been for sure on both sides of that accident that just happened. You've been on the side where you're racing other drivers really hard because it's go time, and gotten yourself in a situation where you go back and you think about it and go, man, I could have done that a little bit differently and not got myself wrecked. And then on the other side, you well, I wish I never wrecked him. These drivers, contrary to what you might believe in chat, these drivers really don't go out there to wreck each other. That's not the point of sim racing, right, Bob? You want to go out there, you want to have a good, clean, fun time, and not get on the nerves of any drivers. If you want to get on nerves of drivers out there in the sim world, well, yeah, you can probably do that in official iRacing, but you're probably not going to do it in league races, because these are the same drivers you're going to see week after week after week after week, and grudges are just not out there in sim racing. At least not in league racing. Grudges are one of those things that really have to be quelled by drivers in order to make things happen. Now, they might make it fun for us up here in the booth, though. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but at least for someone who's been part of league racing, Bob, you included, been in league racing for many, many years, that's one of the reasons why Total Nonstop Racing is so popular. I mean, you think about some of the drivers, Bob, you and I grew up racing around. Drivers like Garrett Gleason, like Kyle Geveshausen, like Mike Floppy Tellier, like Austin Grover. Those are drivers I probably have never really had a run-in with. Why? Because it's racing, we all are out there, have a good time. We all have a good time together, and that is really the camaraderie, the brotherhood, if you will, of the Total Nonstop Racing League.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I've never once had an issue with any of these drivers out there on the racetrack. Even, with some of the racing that I've been doing here in the new version of the Total Nonstop Racing League, whether last year or the handful of races that I'll be driving in this year. It's one of those things where you're racing with these other guys that you're going to be racing with week in and week out, like you had mentioned, and the last thing you want to do is start that divide and ruin it for someone else and have someone else caught up in the mess that you have with another driver. So it's one of those things where you got to keep it clean, and that is one thing that the Total Nonstop Racing League here has excelled at perfectly, is just the camaraderie and the admins here in the league able to calm any harsh feelings between drivers, if there are any, and really just a great job by the league, and a fantastic league to be a part of.
Yeah, and I know, we saw what happened earlier in the race to Kevin McCann in his machine. It was accidental. The league administrators I've already seen have tried to reach out to him. Hopefully we can see Kevin back here next week, and I'm sure the league administrators will somehow make it up to Kevin in the point standings side of things, because obviously you don't want to finish last by an accident. So I'm sure they'll figure something out with him, and hopefully give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt of where he was going to finish here tonight, especially with him being the pole sitter and leading at the time of that particular accident. But nonetheless, the race is back. Green flag here. Ben Izenga on slightly older tires to some of the cars around him. Leads the race off into turn number 1, but they're side by side there for second between Cohan and Jason Freeman.
Good side-by-side racing there between the 20 and the 21 machines. 21 there on your screen in the white and mint-colored car, able to get things single file down, but a good battle a little bit further back. But as we take a look here on board with the 21, just a little loose there coming through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, and that's what we have seen, Bob. With these spins just after these restarts, these colder tires, definitely very, very slick out there. We looked at the track temperatures right at the top of the show. They weren't exactly what I would consider high. In fact, we can bring the weather up again here. 76-degree track temperature. That is extremely cool for iRacing here. That's going to give these drivers quite a bit of grip, but you can tell there's not a lot of grip out there on this racing surface. I wonder if it's because this racing surface is relatively new here, Bob, and sometimes it takes a couple of years for that racing surface to find its grip, for that rubber to really take to the racing surface, for the cars to adhere to the track. It seems like right now these drivers just skating across the surface here, but still, if you look at the speeds, almost 180 miles an hour going off into turn number 3.
Yeah, just a really fast track, and that's one thing you're going to get with a new repave. It's going to be fast, but the grip just will not be there. And it's going to take time. We see tracks like Kentucky, Michigan that have been repaved, and they still haven't gotten it to where the grip level could be just with the new repave. So, this is one of those things that it's going to take some time, some wear and tear, get some, some weather on the track, some storms and all that sort of thing. And, over time, hopefully the pavement will degrade enough for the rubber to kind of stay there and hold. But until then, we're going to get some slick race cars, even with a fairly cool track temperature.
Yeah, we're looking right now. Fuoco battling with Josh Gerlach. This is the battle for 5th right now. Gerlach going to go up the racetrack. That's going to open the door for Spencer Tart, but Tart has to back of it as to not get into the side of Gerlach. That might give a run for the 0-3 of Brian McCann. Sure enough, it does. Brian looking to the inside of the number 78 as they whip their way through turn number 3 and 4. And Brian McCann will pull off the pass. Here comes Tim Johnston now in the number 28. We know he has slightly fresher tires than some of these cars around him, and that number 28 will not pull off the pass just yet. And look who's back inside the top 10. That is Anthony DeBarro making the move for 9th right now on Spencer Tart. He pitted on lap number 72. Don't think he came down, took on fresh tires. I think he just kind of pulled out the fenders on the number 27, but he's working his way back up towards the front of the field. But right now, Anthony DeBarro is about 2.5 seconds behind your race leader, and might not be your race leader for too long, as Nick Cohan, the number 21 machine, has caught him in the Perk Coffee Roasters Toyota, side by side for the race lead, coming out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch.
Man, what a great line through 1 and 2 Nick Cohan had, able to go up just about half a lane high, cuts down right at the apex to try to get a run off the corner down low. He does so, and now the 21 and Nick Cohan, they're going to come to the line. He'll lead that lap, and a good side-by-side battle as they head off into turn number 1.
Nick Cohan with slightly fresher tires, 5-lap fresher tires than Ben Izenga, now to the race lead. 13 laps to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Your top 2 have about a 1-second advantage over Jason Freeman and James McKee. Fuoco inside the top 5, trying to pull off back-to-back top 5s here in the Texas two-step here in the Total Nonstop Racing League here in tonight's Dunn Raceway Park Stadium Super Trucks 150, presented by Silent Syndicate Racing, also known as S2R. But right now, Brian McCann looking underneath Josh Gerlach. This is the only battle for position, side-by-side inside the top 10. Brian ducks back behind Gerlach, but here comes the teammates of DeBarro and Tim Johnson. In fact, DeBarro got around Tim Johnson a couple of laps ago, and now Johnson trying to get that position on back. Looks like he will make that pass stick out of turn number 4, so move the 28 back up to 8th. We saw a lot of long run pace out of the number 28 machine a little while ago under that long green flag run. Was able to get past DeBarro as well in doing so in that run. And here again, similar story as he is back up to 8th, right behind Brian McCann. And any slip up out of the 0-3 machine and Tim Johnson will fill that void here, Bob.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, that 28 machine of Johnson has just been an absolute hot rod from the word go. He's been able to he's got one heck of a long run car, that's for sure. As he's able to move his way up through the field, cut through traffic, save his tires, and that's going to be key, especially now with 10 laps to go.
Looking a little bit further back in the pack, Philip Scott is going to make the pass stick on Matthew Rodriguez. So moves the number 99, who just got the Lucky Dog Award a little while ago. He will now be up to the 18th position as they run. This is a good battle for the 10th spot. John Cannizzaro has it. Spencer Tart, Jason Gracias, and Bill Edwards. So this is a good little group of 4 cars, as we're now down to just 9 laps to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. 13.5 miles as Daniel Fuoco, I think he was just getting around a lapped car. Yes, he was. Colin Ullery there in the West Virginia Mountaineers machine, involved in an earlier incident and well off the pace. You see him staying up to the top side of the racetrack and letting all these cars on through. But back to this group right here. Edwards has run down this group as well in the number 50. He's trying to go for a top 10 here tonight, trying to get 2 Silent Syndicate Racing machines inside the top 10. Wouldn't that be great? As Jason Gracias catches Colin Ullery at the wrong spot, he's going to have to check up, and unfortunately for him, he's going to lose that spot, probably not the way he wanted to there, Bob.
Yeah, definitely not. Just a big momentum killer. You never want to catch lap traffic coming out of the corner. And unfortunately for the one of Gracias, that's exactly what had happened. So he's going to lose a whole boatload of momentum. And unfortunately, he's going to be losing the trail of those guys he was battling with just before.
Yeah, so now we're looking at this battle. 5 drivers inside a second of one another from Jason Freeman, James McKee, Daniel Buttafuoco, Josh Gerlach, and Brian McCann. Ooh, McCann almost getting into the outside wall there in the 0-3. He has Tim Johnston and Anthony DeBarro back behind him, as we're now just down to 6 more laps to go. Any caution flag that comes out now will definitely lead to a green-white checker here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Hopefully we can keep it clean and green all the way to the drop of the checkered flag. Field catching the number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman, who was able to work his way back out onto the racetrack after a lengthy stop on pit road. As whoa, James McKee going down into the grass, trying to pull off a Dale Earnhardt move. The pass in the grass, might we see one of those here tonight? McKee backs out of it, however, as the number 20 and the number 10 doing battle. This is for the last spot on the podium here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And now McKee's got to run down the backstretch, but Freeman throws a block. McKee goes down even further, and he dives to the inside here, Bob.
Big monster block there, but McKee able to somehow get around Freeman. Now Freeman's just about to get freight trained here as the whole rest of the field behind him is taking a look to the inside with the 30 of Buttafuoco, the 71 of Gerlach in there as well. Buttafuoco able to get his car right underneath the 20 machine of Jason Freeman, so some fantastic battling going on right now between these drivers. Oh, the 20 Freeman gets out of the groove. He might have came up and brushed the outside wall, and that's going to send the rest of the cars scattering just a little bit.
Yeah, great move there by Jimmy McKee just to get underneath Jason Freeman. And Freeman in the wall this time. He didn't get it out of turn number 2, but he definitely got it out of turn number 4. And he's going to go from 3rd back to 7th. And now under fire from the number 28 of Tim Johnston. If he's not careful, Freeman here will fall outside of the top 10, somewhat similar to what we saw back at California Speedway earlier this season, with Freeman having some late race troubles there. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything up the front. Nick Cohan up to a half-second lead over Ben Izenga, who's about a second and a half up the road from Jimmy McKee. But now Tim Johnston going down into the grass, trying to pull off the pass in the grass, and looks like Tim Johnston going to be able to do it, as we're down to just 2 laps to go. Johnston with this pass will move himself up to 7th. Now can DeBarro make the pass around the number 20? It sure does look like it, as Jimmy McKee, Daniel Buttafuoco trying to go for back-to-back podiums here at Texas Motor Speedway here tonight. He's underneath McKee, and I think Buttafuoco's going to make that pass stick. Sure enough, he will. White flag is out.
Yeah, great battle there between the 30 of Buttafuoco and McKee, but heading out towards the front, the 21 machine of Nick Cohan leading the field down the back straightaway. A good gap between he and the 17 of Ben Izenga, and just a really great race there for the 21 of Cohan.
Nick Cohan coming out of turn number 4 for the final time here tonight. There's an accident in front of him. Where is he going to go? Into the grass, and it's going to be Ben Izenga who takes home the win. Nick Cohan removed from the win, just meters from the start-finish line. He's going to be absolutely irate here, Bob. My, oh my, Izenga goes to victory lane. What just happened?
Wow. Wow. I am absolutely speechless, Peter. Just, wow.
I don't think I have ever seen anything like that. Let's see what happened here. On board with Nick Cohan, leading the race, coming out of turn number 4. And I think, did the 62 intentionally wreck? Did Ullery intentionally wreck JT Poole? I don't know. And Cohan decides to go down to the grass, and the 62 going down to the grass right there, and just plows into the back of him. And here comes Ben Izenga, says, hey, buddy, I'm just going to go through and take home the win here at Texas Motor Speedway. But what happened with the 62 and the 26 machine? That is what I want to find out. Here we go on the replay. The 62's off the pace. Here comes the 26 machine, and Ullery gets into the wall there, bounces down into the 26 machine as the leaders are going on through. That's absolutely crazy. I'm sure, and then you see all the carnage happening, but oh my goodness, Nick Cohan's going to be furious.
Wow, that is the craziest finish to a race I think I have ever seen. Just heartbreaking there for the 21 machine of Nick Cohan, and at the end of the day, it's something that he couldn't have even possibly anticipated. He saw the wreck happening there on the front stretch. He thought he had to go down through the grass, and honestly, that's the same move I would have done, because it looked like both the 26 and the 62 were just paused up there on the racetrack as we go on board here with the 62 of Ullery. He got into the wall, had it saved, lost it, sliding through the grass, and there is the contact between he and the 21 as they come across the line, and oh my goodness.
Now we're going to get another look at this one. And folks, watch what Ullery does here. He's turning the corner right here, has a lot of wheel in it, and then all of a sudden he just starts cranking the wheel. And all of a sudden the wheels will start to chatter. He has absolutely no grip at this point because the wheels are turned too much. And all of a sudden goes up into the wall and straight down into the number 26. I'm sure Ullery will be feeling absolutely sick himself as he played a part, unfortunately, heavily damaged, well off the pace here tonight. And he, in doing so, played a part in the race outcome. You see, here comes Cohan going through the grass. And, some people at home probably wondering why on earth would you go to the grass like that? But Cohan felt like that was the safest way to get to the start-finish line. And unfortunately, gonna go mow the grass and mow down the 62 machine. Wow, what a crazy, crazy, crazy finish to this race. I had the number 21 locked up as the race winner coming through turn number 3 and 4 there, Bob. But anything can happen in racing, that is for sure.
That was just absolutely wild. Just a crazy finish there, and these interviews are going to be interesting. That's for sure.
That is for sure, and I'm sure Ben Izenga in the number 17. I'm sure he will feel happy to win. I'm sure he'll be ecstatic, and all that stuff as we get a little bit of a look here of his post-race interview. Now you can see that right side damage. That was actually from contact with JT Poole. That contact with JT Poole, Izenga got a piece of him, but it wasn't as much as what we saw out of Nick Cohan, as Izenga here burning it down on the front stretch. But that's one of those things, he might be happy he won, but I'm sure he's going to be a little bit, probably a little bit upset. It's like a dichotomy. You're excited you won, but the way it all happened definitely is going to be interesting. Now we're just trying to get the people up here into the 3-wide TV booth. Our top 3 finishers here tonight. I believe that is Daniel Buttafuoco. Not exactly sure. He needs to update his name. Daniel, if you're watching this and you're Lucky Dog 385, hopefully you can change your name and make sure that is you before we pull you up here into the 3-wide TV booth. Just checking to see if that is you. I'm not sure if that is him. Bob, do you know if Lucky Dog 385 is Daniel Buttafuoco?
I believe that should be, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we'll see.
Because I know John Cannizzaro, because I was torn between if it was him or John Cannizzaro, but it looks like Cannizzaro is in the channel there as himself. So I believe Lucky Dog 385 is going to be Buttafuoco.
We're hearing in the chat, Colin Ullery mentioned that he had a flat tire on the last lap, and that's why he couldn't turn. So that was definitely interesting to see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some interesting things here tonight. All right, I think it is Buttafuoco. I haven't been told yay or nay, but we'll just go for it.
Find that feel when it comes to the right front tire, because that long run there before stops burnt it up pretty bad. So I was trying to, bring it home for the pit stop and made a little mistake. Then we were a lap down when the caution came out, and we were the lucky dog. And so I'm thinking, oh, great. But I forgot that if you're lucky dog, hit the start at the tail end. So I was thinking, oh boy, it's not going to be fun. So we had a few cautions, so we were able to cycle back up to the front runners, and we restarted 8th there, that final restart. And I wasn't really expecting much. A top 5 would have been a great run, but we were able to really learn from our mistakes throughout the race and just take it easy, try to remember to be gradual on the throttle, try not to burn it up, and made some pretty sick moves there, especially on 2 to go on the 10. I thought that was one of my friends was watching that race, and he was telling me, you'll get him here. And I didn't believe him, but we ended up passing him, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, it's been a great run.
Yeah, definitely a great run for you here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. It was a strong race for you pretty much from the get-go. Started inside the top 10, finishing in 3rd. Definitely, like I said, Texas has definitely been kind to you here in the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. But hey, we got some exciting races coming up on the schedule. And after tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, next week we go to the Milwaukee Mile, a very tricky flat 1 mile racetrack for 125 laps around there. What are your thoughts about Milwaukee?
Well, I'll be honest, the last time I ever raced there, I was like 9 years old on NASCAR 09. So my experience is very minimal, but I've watched a few of the old Busch Series races back in the mid-2000s, and I've been trying to watch trying to watch some clips on YouTube of some guys racing around there, albeit maybe of different vehicles like the Super Late model, but trying to do a little bit of homework before I buy the track and learn what their best line is throughout the run. But I'm excited about that. That's always been a track I've liked. It's always provided some good racing, and there's some other good tracks coming on later in this. Sorry, I can't speak right now. There's a lot of other great tracks entering the schedule later in the year, like Nashville Super Speedway, and I think there's Charlotte as well. So looking forward to those. But I also want to say a big thank you to all my friends for their great support throughout this whole esports journey. JDR Graphics, my man JD, for putting on this fantastic paint scheme. This number 30 car, it's beautiful. Looks great here in the Texas sun. I also want to say a big thank you to everybody over here from Total Nonstop Racing, and you guys, the commentators, for putting on some great races, some great broadcasts. And it's an honor to be racing in this series. And it's been a great start to the season, even though we missed 3 races. And hopefully it'll lead to hopefully we'll keep up that good momentum, and hopefully we can get that first one soon, because we're getting there. Just need to learn how to conserve our stuff better, and we'll be right there.
Absolutely. Well, Daniel, great run for you here tonight at Texas. Before we let you go, any shout-outs?
Yeah, once again, just thank you to everybody for all the great support, all my friends. Coming from Heat over to here has been a definitely a big transition, and just been trying to take it a step at a time, trying to not to get too ahead of myself. Thank you guys for great broadcasts, all the admins for putting on a great series, and also shout out to Garrett for the Dash for Cash money that I was unaware of until a couple of days ago. So when I had to buy this track, it was $5 instead of 15, so that was great. Shout out to him, because we won the Dash for Cash at Coda last week, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, just everybody tuning into these races. Been a great series, been a pretty exciting one, let me tell you that. Finish last week was great, and this finish was crazy, so hopefully we can have some good races for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. I don't think I could have said it any better tonight. Drama for everyone, but Daniel Buttafuoco coming out with a strong finish. Definitely a lot better than a lot of the field here tonight, Daniel. Best of luck next week at Milwaukee.
Thank you, man.
All right, that's going to do it with tonight's 3rd place finisher, and I believe that Bob has caught up with a driver who was probably only a football field from winning tonight's race, Nick Cohan.
Yeah, and Bob Giaquinto up here in the booth with Nick Cohan. Nick, you got a copy?
I got you, Bob.
Hey, Nick. Well, man, I I guess we'll address the elephant in the room. Talk us through the last couple of corners there coming up to the finish.
Yeah, I just was focused on my line. 3 and 4, you can't hit that apron there, so I was focused. And when I came off turn 4, I saw a bunch of smoke, so I just figured, well, I'm just gonna go shoot through the grass here. And fortunately, the knuckleheads were coming down the track, and I had nowhere to go. But I don't know. There's nothing you can really say. I mean, I always preach that I don't take things too seriously, so I can't be that mad. But just a sorry would have been cool, but instead he took a different route. But it is what it is. He's blocking on the track out there, lap car just running in the racing groove with 5 laps to go. I had to punt him out of the way then, and I don't know. It is what it is. It's a fun battle with Ben. I really enjoyed racing with him. It was a clean battle there. Just didn't work out.
And Nick, just talk me through those last closing laps. You had mentioned a fantastic battle between you and Ben. Looks like you might have had a couple laps fresher tires than Ben, about 5 laps or so fresher at the end of the race. Just a good battle between you guys. Talk me through that battle.
Yeah, Ben had a little bit older tires because he had pit before that last caution after that green flag run. And with those early cautions that we had after that, it kind of equaled out a little bit. It was pretty tough, and he was really driving into the corners really hard. So it was so hard to get a run on him, because I was backing my corners up quite a bit and trying to get a run, but I don't know how he was getting it to stick down there so well, but made one little mistake there in 3 and 4, and that's what I was hoping for. It was just one little mistake, and unfortunately I was running the middle groove at the time. If I would have been on the bottom, I would have scooted right on by him, but it created for a good battle. This is a pretty tough track because there's nowhere to run but the bottom. It's 15 car lengths wide, but you can only run one lane. So it was fun to actually have a battle for the lead. So like I said, congrats to Ben. He did a really good job of those little bit older tires holding me off there. I wasn't really sure I was going to be able to get around him, but I did. Just didn't get it for the last 200 feet.
And a tough break there at the end for sure. Switching gears now, next week we're going to be making a stop at the Milwaukee Mile. What are your thoughts as we head up there?
That's one of my favorite tracks. It's a really unique track, flat, and which is normally not what I don't really like flat tracks, but that's a really good track for me. I really like it. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully a lot of the knuckleheads that were here tonight, like the 62 isn't there. But I don't like Texas. So this is like, I have really bad luck at Texas. I can't, I wish I had more time to tell you, but I have really bad luck here on the last lap at Texas. And this is all my teammate Tim's fault too, because he said good win on the backstretch. So that's all his fault. But I'm getting off the rails here. Milwaukee is a good track for me. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can have some good racing there, because it's a really tight track, and these cars are quite a handful, especially on the short track. So that said, though, here at TNR we've put on some good races on the short track, so I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can put this in number 21 Perk Coffee in Victory Lane.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch for us next week for sure. And Nick, before we let you go, do you have any shout outs for us?
Now all my teammates at Disney Motorsports, TNR for putting on this league. It's really fun. Love coming out here on Monday nights, and 3Y2 for putting this broadcast together. CJ Automotive, always race day. Shout out to my friends who host the Circle Jerk podcast. They on all platforms you can listen to them and talk a little NASCAR every week, and you can send in your questions and whatnot. It's pretty fun. And other than that, thanks again for you guys for putting this broadcast together. It's really fun to go back and watch. I'm sure you guys really had fun those last 200 feet.
Yeah, definitely a wild one for sure. Well, Nick, unfortunately, second place finish for you, but we're looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Milwaukee.
Yep, thanks, Bob.
No problem. All right, well, that's Nick Cohan, our second place finisher in tonight's race. And Peter, I believe you're down in Victory Lane with the 17 of Ben Izinka.
Yeah, I'm down here with the 6-shooters and Ben Izenga with the cowboy hat on here, winning at the Texas Motor Speedway. Ben, I know you put up the money to sponsor the race tonight, but I didn't know that would mean Garrett Gleason would give you the rocket fuel out there. That, well, I say rocket fuel. It's probably Jet A because, of course, you got Air Canada on the hood of the number 17. And in victory lane here tonight, but a wild finish to the race. You definitely had a lot of pace, led a good majority of the race here tonight. Walk us through it, including that battle for the win there late in the race, and ultimately what all went down.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. It was long. Had a lot of strategy go very right and very wrong. After that pit cycle in the middle there, I was looking at a 3 and a bit second lead, and I was probably going to win the race by 5 seconds if we went green. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I was just past the leader when the caution came out, so luckily I was still on the lead lap, and I was able to restart up front, but yeah, Nick definitely had the better of me at the end there. I tried to put out the best fight I could, but yeah.
And ultimately, Nick had 5-lap fresher tires in the number 17 machine here tonight. How about that? Do you think it was the tires that allowed Nick to get around you, that slight tire advantage? Or do you think Nick actually had the better car there at that stage of the race?
I really couldn't tell you. I felt like we were pretty similar in the first run before about lap 20 when we had that first caution. I was starting to catch up to Nick, but I know he was behind the 8 car, so I don't know if he was kind of saving his stuff or what he was doing. But I know typically he's a little bit faster than me, so it is totally possible if he was just faster than me.
Well, hey, nonetheless, I think it all came down to that final quarter mile here at Texas Motor Speedway. Usually you talk about quarter miles and drag strips, but here tonight at Texas, it all came down to the last quarter mile and out of turn number 4. What was your view of what was all going down there on the front stretch?
Well, in 3 and 4, I was giving that car everything that was left in it, which wasn't that much at that point. And I came off 4, I saw a bunch of smoke, and I see Nick dive down through the grass, and I knew that if I was going to win this race, I had to go not where he went. And luckily, it worked out well for me.
Well, sure enough, it did. A lot going through your head very, very quickly there coming out of turn number 4. That is for sure. And congratulations on getting the win here at Texas Motor Speedway. Definitely one of those finishes that we will be talking about here for quite some time. But next week we go to the Milwaukee Mile. Very, very flat 1-mile racetrack. What are your thoughts about Milwaukee?
Never been there. Never practiced there. Never tested there. Nothing. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to be in the same boat with a lot of drivers. I don't think a lot of drivers have driven Milwaukee. I can personally say it is one of my favorite racetracks in the entire simulator. Hopefully the setup that the league provides for next week is going to be awesome. I love Milwaukee Mile. It's a lot of fun to race around, that is for sure. But hey, congratulations on the win here tonight, Ben. Before we let you go, any shout-outs?
Yeah, of course. You guys do a great broadcast here at Through TV. Got to thank all the guys at Total Nonstop Racing, all the series sponsors, S2R, of course, Bill Edwards, Fatal Concepts, the SST Truck Series. Great truck series. I think they're the sponsor of this race.
Indeed it is.
Yep. Cycling on the car, USCRL Sim Racing. That's about it.
All right. Well, Ben, congratulations on getting the win here at Texas Motor Speedway, and we'll see you next week at Milwaukee.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Well, Bob, that's going to do it for all of our post-race interviews. Definitely going to be one of the races that we talk about for quite some time here on the channel and in the series. That is for sure. The TNR Thornton Graphix Grand National Series is, wow. I don't know if there's much more to say about that here tonight, but hopefully, oh man, the graphics are stuck again. Bummer. Well, folks, you're going to have to bear with us just a little bit here, as I believe we can still get the post-race graphic up for you guys for the final race results. Well, yeah, there they are. They're not looking all too good, but hey, they're there. You can read them out. The only thing it says at the top of the screen that you're missing is Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. But the results here tonight, taking home the win, Ben Izenga, Nick Cohan second, Daniel Buttafuoco in third, Josh Gerlach, Jimmy McKee, Brian McCann, good run for him. We'll talk about his brother here in just a minute. Tim Johnston, Anthony DeBarro, 7th and 8th, Jason Freeman, and John Canizaro rounding out your top 10.
In 11th, the 50 machine of Bill Edwards, John Borston 12th, Spencer Tart 13th, Jason Gracias 14th, Robert Kenny just outside of the top 10 in 15th, Kevin Stone 16th, Todd Kirkwood and Philip Scott round out 17th and 18th, Matthew Rodriguez 19th, one of our Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash drivers, and Briar Fritz rounding out the top 20.
Garrett Gleason going to come home in 21st here tonight with Brady Todd 22nd, Jason Shue in 23rd, 24th Tristan Maher, Vincent Valvano behind him involved in an early accident in 25th, Stephen Kegman involved in an accident 26th, Mike Floppy-Tellier involved in an accident 27th, Nick Chambrone involved in an accident 28th, Colin Ullery 29th, JT Poole in 30th. There, Bob.
Austin Grover in 31st. Andrew Himmelman had a great run going until he was involved in an accident in 32nd. Steven Dosiak, Kyle Givishausen, and Kyle Lewis round out the field. Jason White, our in-race administrator. Kevin McCann and Lupe Gonzalez. Lupe Gonzalez did not start tonight's race, and unfortunately a bit of a disqualification issue with Kevin McCann, Peter.
Yeah, and of course, Kevin McCann, I'm sure the league administrators will reach out to him, hopefully make it right. It was an accidental disqualification on that part. It happens. I've seen it happen before, but hopefully they can make it right, and hopefully we see Kevin McCann next week at the Milwaukee Mile. Definitely had a lot of pace here tonight. Started on the pole in that number 42 machine. Of course, got that win last week at the Circuit of the Americas. But folks, that is just a little bit of the drama that we saw here at Texas Motor Speedway. We saw contact. We saw possible retaliation. We saw cars wrecking to the start-finish line. We saw that accidental disqualification. There's a lot for the race administrators to sort out here tonight after this one, Bob, and hopefully they get it all squared away before we see the racetrack next week at Milwaukee. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to going to Milwaukee next week.
Yeah, I am too. It's a very tough track to get along. It's very easy to spin the tires coming out of the corners as well. So this is going to be really interesting. It's a very tight, bare knuckle racing experience there at Milwaukee, and I cannot wait. I too love that track here on the iRacing service, and even though I'm awful, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys go through the booth or go through the track, and it's going to be a lot of fun with me being up here watching the race instead of being out there for sure.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thanks for stopping by here tonight on 3YTV. We appreciate each and every one of you stopping in here on the broadcast. But until we meet again, stay safe, and we shall see ya.